Hi everybody, good afternoon. Sorry I started a little bit later than I was supposed to. I had to mail out some masks. We're going to do the ballerina painting today. Before you get started, let's make sure you have some important supplies. If not, you might want to just watch this another time when it's recorded and you have everything that you need, okay? So for this painting, you're going to need two size brushes, okay? So if you don't have these, you might need to wait until you have the right supplies, okay? So you're going to need a small brush, but you absolutely need a bigger brush. So I'll put this closer, okay? So you need a brush about this size, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit bigger, okay? But you do need something like this so we can blend our background. You can't do this painting with just a small brush. It won't really work, okay? Unless you just want to paint the ballerina, but it's not going to look like the picture, okay? So I guess you could still just paint the ballerina, but keep in mind it's not going to look the same, okay? So, I get some pretty music in the background, so if it's too loud, just let me know, okay? Hi, guys! Look at all the people waving today. I love it. Awesome. Some of the other stuff we're going to need. You're going to need a pencil and a really good eraser to start, okay? So I like to use one of these. I don't like to use the erasers on the back of my pencils. To me, they just scuff everything up and make a big mess, but if that's all you have, use what you have. I have a mechanical pencil, but you can use a regular pencil too, that's fine. I'm going to teach everything by drawing it in Sharpie. You guys are not doing this in Sharpie right now. You are doing it in pencil. I am the only one using Sharpie, okay? Because that way if you need to erase, let me put this lower, it's a little bit loud. I feel like I'm yelling at you. That way if you guys need to erase, you can, okay? If you do it in marker at first, you won't be able to fix anything. Hi guys, thank you again for watching. So excited. So again, you do need, if you just tuned in, you will need a bigger brush to do this. If you do not have it, you probably want to wait until you do get this bigger brush, or else it won't really look the same, okay? So big brush and small brush for this one. We're gonna have to do this in two parts, okay? We have to do our background. If we were doing this in person at a restaurant or at a birthday party, we would have to take at least a 15-minute break to let our background dry. I'm not going to sit here and have you stare at me for 15 minutes. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to do the background. Well, we're going to draw her first in pencil. Then I'm going to have you guys outline her in marker, okay? Then we're going to paint the entire background, okay? Then we're going to have to take a 15-minute break. So again, instead of staring at me and just sitting here for 15 minutes, I'm going to go off the live. We're all going to let our painting dry for about 15 minutes, go do something else. Then we're going to come back. I'll announce before I finish this first part, I'll announce what time I need you to come back in the group. And then we will do part 2, okay? And then I'll come back live again at whatever time I tell you to come back, okay? If you're doing something else around part 2, guess what? It doesn't matter because both part 1 of this and part 2 are getting saved in the photos section. So you can do it anytime you want. So if you do part 1 with me and you decide you don't feel like finishing part 2 today, you don't have to. They're both going to get saved, okay? So only thing you need right now is a pencil and eraser. I'm the only one doing it in marker, okay? The colors you're going to need, you're going to need lots of white. You're going to need lots of blue and some purple. Those are the colors that we need for our background, okay? For our ballerina, okay? If you're doing a skin tone like mine or similar to mine, you're going to need white and a little tiny bit of orange to make peach, okay? You can make her skin tone whatever shade you want. You've got some brown paint. You can make it brown. You can make it tan. Whatever you need to make the shade for her face. Try to make it look like you if you can, right? So you don't have to make it peach. If you're going to do her hair, you have 3 different choices for hair, okay? So for hair, you can make her blonde. So yellow if you're going to make her blonde. You can give her brown hair. You can even give her black hair. So you decide what color her hair is going to be, okay? For the outfit, I'm going to make the outfit look like the picture. The outfit, I have it in front of me here, is going to be mostly white, and then we'll add some colors on the bottom part. I don't know if you guys looked, but in the the cover photo of the event, it cuts off the bottom of the dress. So in the event, I posted the full photo. It's actually a lot prettier than what it looks in the cover photo. Okay, so we're gonna draw her first. So all you need right now is pencil and eraser. So here we go. So I'm gonna trace it, turn it around, talk a little bit, and then you're gonna do it, okay? So just so you know, I am using a 9x12 canvas. That is a little bit bigger than a piece of paper, okay? You probably have an 8x10 or a piece of paper, okay? Mine is a tiny bit bigger, just so you know, okay? So what we're doing is I want you to see the full size of my canvas. This is a 9x12. It's a little bit smaller than a piece of paper. So this is the middle. So find the middle of your canvas or paper, whatever you're using. It doesn't matter what size. Okay, find the middle first where my finger is, okay? It might be a little different on yours. And then after you find the middle, go a little bit higher. So find the middle first, and then go a little bit higher, so right about here. Okay, if you look, my finger is directly across from where I want her head to be, okay? So her head needs to be a little bit higher than the middle. And you're going to make an oval. So draw an oval, which is what I did in black, okay? So only do what I do in black. Try not to go ahead, please, okay? So make an oval in black. All right, so make sure you have that oval drawn correctly the way you want it, okay? It's very important that oval is exactly the way you want it to be. So after we do the oval, we're going to work on her hair, okay? So she has like really long side swept bangs. So what we're going to do is we're going to start up here and then we're going to come this way. We want to make sure when we do her bangs that we make sure we leave enough room to add like one eye, a nose, and a mouth. So as long as you have enough room for those things, okay? So I'm not going to finish her bangs. I'm just doing one part at a time for you. So I'm coming right here, right up here on my oval, and I'm going down sideways. So these are like side swept bangs. We will finish them, but we're going to do one step at a time. Okay, good. So after you have those bangs where you like them, double check to make sure you have enough room. Don't do it yet. Just make sure that there's enough room to do an eye, a nose, and a mouth, and for it to still look the right way, okay? If not, you need to adjust your bangs before you do this next part. So if your bangs are where you want them to be, we're going to do that little curl that comes out. Okay? So what I did was I just continued. We ended right here, so I just continued and I went up and I made like a little curl, and then this just connects to the top of your oval, okay? So you should have a line going through the hair, and we're going to get rid of that. I unfortunately cannot get rid of that, but you guys can because you're doing this in pencil. Oh, Olivia, you got some new earrings. You'll have to take a picture and send it to me. I can't wait to see. Okay, so we did the side swept bangs. Once we figured out that they were in the right spot, then we made this little curl and then went back and it kind of connected to the top of our oval here. Once you're happy with that, then you're going to go back and erase this line that's going through the bangs, okay? Make sure you erase this line right there. Unfortunately, I cannot erase that because I did it in marker to show you how to draw it, but you can. So please don't forget to erase this line that's going through her bangs. Okay, especially if you end up doing blonde hair, the yellow paint will not cover it. Okay, so again, erase this. Now we're going to do the other side of her bangs. That's super easy. So we're just going to make another little curve right here on the other side for the other side of her bangs. Very good. And now when you're done doing the bangs, we're going to work on her really big bun. She has a nice big bun. You don't have to do it exactly like this. You can make the bun a little bit smaller if you want, but just give her a nice big bun. So this is how they did it on this particular drawing. My marker's not running out. Okay, so I'll make her bun. Now this next part, you don't have to draw. She has like 3 little circles here. You don't have to draw that because what's going to end up happening is if you draw that now and then I have you trace it in marker, they're going to end up being black. I only put that there to remind myself. So do me a favor and don't draw this. Just pretend it's not there, okay? We're going to do it with paint later. Very easy. So don't draw this little thing in her hair right now. Because once you trace it in marker, it's going to end up being black because it's so small. Okay? We're going to move on now to her face. So we want to do one eye because the other eye is supposed to be covered by her bangs. So you want to keep this eye nice and high up near her bangs, but only one. So the way you're going to do the eye, and I'll put this nice and close, is you're just going to make a little curvy line like that. So here's a close-up. Her eye is closed, so we're not going to do an open eye. She's concentrating, so she has her eyes closed. And then I can't tell by the picture because it's so small, but I wanted to add eyelashes because I think it looks really pretty. So you can decide if you want to do just that line like that and leave it, or you can add eyelashes. I decided I want to add eyelashes. When your eyes are closed, your eyelashes point down. So when you do the eyelashes, make sure they're pointing down. And I think this marker is running out. Good timing. Let's see if I can find one near me that actually works. Okay. This one seems to be a little better. Okay. So I gave her some eyelashes. She's got some eyelash extensions going on. But make sure you do your eyelashes pointing down, not up, okay? And again, you don't have to do the eyelashes. That's a choice. Okay. Now we're going to do a very simple nose. So for her nose, we're just going to make a cute little curve. We're going to give her a tiny little nose. Nothing hard. Very simple. And then we're going to give her some lips. So I know most of you know how to draw lips, but I'm going to walk you through just in case, okay? So when I draw lips, what I do first is if you look closely, I drew a straight line in the center. So wherever I want the middle of her lips to be, I'm going to draw a straight line where I want the middle of her lips to be. So straight line in the middle. Okay. And then for the top lip, like if you look at mine, you see how it looks like a little curvy M shape? So we're going to make a little curvy M shape on top of that line. And then we just make one big curve. See? One big curve for the bottom. There we go. So now that we have her face and her head done, we're going to start working on the body. We're going to do just the neck first, okay? So we're going to give her a neck. Okay. Give your ballerina a neck. Now, one of her arms is going out straight, and then the other arm is going up a little bit. It's like curved upward. This arm, she's holding like a magic wand thingy. So later you can decide if you want to just leave her arms like this, like she's dancing, or you can add a magic wand to it later. You can decide if you want to do that or not. Either way, this is how we're going to do the arms, okay? So the first arm, you're going to make it nice and long. So you're just going to go from the bottom of her neck and you're going to go straight. So make a straight line for the top of that first arm. All right. Now we're not going to do full fingers. We're not going to do 5 fingers. Basically, all you're going to do is like one long finger and then a thumb, okay? You'll see it better once I hold it up. Okay? So you're just going to do like one long finger, because if your hands are out like this, see, look. Kind of looks like this. This is what we're drawing. So we're not going to draw individual fingers. This is pretty much what we're drawing, the shape that my hand is making right now. Okay? So like that, with a little thumb, and then stop when you get to the shoulder area. So where her shoulder would be up here, that's where you're going to stop for the bottom arm. All right. Now we're going to work on the other arm. So this one's a little different. This one's going to start by going straight, but then it's going to go up. So you're going to start by going kind of straight. So that's how this is how we're going to start the other side. Okay, and then we're going to go up a little bit. We're going to go up, but we're going to curve it at the same time. So we're going up, but we're also going to be curving. And then we're going to do the hand shape the same way we did this hand shape. We're going to do it here as well. There you go. So I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible for you. It's very cartoony. So this arm is straight, and this arm is kind of up and bent a little bit. So cute. I like it. So those are the arms. Now the top of her dress is very similar. So remember how we did her top lip, that curvy M shape? So we're going to connect the bottom of her arms here and here, and we're going to make a little curvy shape for the top of her dress. Just like that. So at the bottom of her arms, we're going to connect the bottom of her arms by making a curvy M shape for the top of her dress. Okay, very good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the rest of the top. You're going to make 2 lines down. And then we're going to connect it at the bottom with a curvy line. So connect it at the bottom with a curvy line. Okay. And that is all that we're going to draw right now, okay? So when you're done drawing this, let me put this down for a second. You need to find a permanent black marker, okay? Make sure it doesn't say washable because washable will smudge. So find a permanent black marker and trace it so it looks like mine, okay? So trace your drawing that you just did in pencil with black marker. We can't do this next part until you trace in marker. This shouldn't take you guys too long. This should only take you like 2 to 3 minutes, okay? So do that. While you guys are tracing, I'm going to go over the supplies that we need again, okay? So I'll just keep holding this up. You're tracing in marker. So, and we're not drawing the skirt, and you'll see why later. We don't need to draw the skirt. We'll do that just in paint. It's super easy, I promise. So for supplies, if you're using acrylic paint, you're going to need a paper plate to put your paint in. You're going to need paper towel or napkin to dry your brush. You're going to need a bin or a cup with water, okay? And you're going to need 2 brushes. If you don't have a big brush, you can't really do the background with us, okay? So you need a small brush for later, but right now we need a big brush. So it's about this size, okay? You need a bigger brush to do this part of the painting. And then the colors that we're going to need right now are going to be white, blue, and purple. And then later on, you're going to need some orange and white if you're going to do a peach skin tone. Some brown. If you're going to do a different color, you can add white to make it tan. For the hair, you decide on what color her hair is going to be. You can do yellow for blonde. You can do brown. You could do black for her hair. You could even do like for a redheaded or a strawberry blonde. You could do orange. You can do whatever you want for the hair color, okay? And then we need like a little bit of pink or maybe even red. I'm going to keep the lips pink though. So a color for the lips. And that's about it, okay? So I'm going to do it a teeny bit different than the picture. But it's going to be very close. I just try to simplify things as much as possible because I know a lot of younger children are doing this painting. Okay, so I want to make it doable for the little kids. If you're an older kid or an adult, then you can add things or omit things however you want. But I'm teaching for the younger kids, okay? So the first thing we need to do is we need to, I'm going to put this down really quick, okay? So what you need to do is you need to take your brush and put it in the water. Rub it on the bottom to make sure that it's not dirty. You want to make sure there's no paint on it dried up from last time. I'm going to rub it on the bottom and make sure it's dirty. When you lift it up, it's going to be dripping wet. So what I like to do is I lightly tap it. I tap it so most of the water comes off. Okay, so I take it out and I'm tapping very gently. You can probably hear it. Then you're going to take your paper towel and you're going to press it down. You want to take most of the water off, but not all of the water. You don't want your brush to be dry. You want it to be damp. So what I mean by that is if you feel it, it should feel a little bit wet and there's no water dripping, okay? That's what you want. Not too wet, but not dry. So just a little wet with no water dripping. So you're going to press it on your paper towel to get it like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to look at the brush. This is why we need a big brush. You're gonna look at your brush. It has two corners, a right corner and a left corner. It doesn't really matter which side you use for each color, as long as you're using two corners, okay? So you're gonna take one corner and you're gonna dip it in white. You see how I dipped just the corner in the white? And then I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna take the other corner and I'm gonna dip that in blue. So your brush should look like this. There should be white on one corner, and it doesn't matter which side, and blue on the other corner, okay? And we're gonna keep repeating this over and over and over again, okay? So I'm gonna show you what I want you to do. So you're gonna start on the top of your painting, okay? So starting on the top, it doesn't matter which side is top or bottom. You're gonna go back and forth like this. And you want your colors to blend together, okay? You see how pretty that is? So I'm going to do this again. I didn't add that much paint the first time because I didn't want it to drip when I showed you. But this next time you want to add more paint. So keep repeating the white and the blue. White and blue. And you're going to do it again. And you want your colors to mix together when you're doing this, okay? You don't want to use too much paint though, because if you end up using too much paint, your background will not be dry. And you want a little bit of the white to show, so you're not going to cover your canvas completely. You see how there's a little bit of white showing? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do white and blue again. So that's about how much paint, white and blue. If you don't put too much paint, it won't blend. You don't want a lot of paint, but you don't want too little. You see the amount of paint I'm putting on there? Okay. And then I'm just gonna, we're painting over her face. We're painting right over her. Okay. So we're gonna keep spreading that out. The key is you don't want any globs of paint. If you have any globs of paint, you need to spread out your globs before you go back and add any paint to your brush, okay? So if you look closely at my painting, there are no globs, right? No globs of paint anywhere, okay? So I'm going to keep going back and forth, blue and white. I'm painting right over her. Okay? So blue and white. You're going to stop. I'm going to put this line. You don't have to do this. I'm just going to put this line so you can see where I want you to stop. So I want you to stop the blue and white when you get to like right about there. Okay? So that's how far down. When you get to right about here on your painting, that's when I want you to stop this color combination. So I'm just going to again take the blue and the white like that. And I'm going to keep going back and forth, blending them together. Nice long strokes. If you notice, I'm not picking up my brush until I get to the other side of the canvas. So nice long strokes, okay? So blue and white again. I'm going to stop when I get to that line. If you didn't go too dark with your blue, you should still be able to see your ballerina through the paint. If you notice, you can still see her, right? If you traced her in marker and your blue isn't too dark, you should still be able to see your ballerina, okay? Now I'm just going to go back and I'm going to fill in all these spots. So stop when you get till right about there, okay? Again, I'm painting upside down. Normally you wouldn't paint upside down like I'm painting. So forgive me if I'm not doing this perfectly. I'm holding it with one hand and I'm upside down. So yeah, doing my best. So now I'm just going to go fill in. There we go. So you don't want your background to be like one solid shade of blue. You want to look at it, and if you look closely at mine, There's different shades of blue, and there's some white in there too. You don't want to over blend, okay? You want to see different shades of color, okay? Then you're going to stop when you get about there. Should look like this. It should be dry. You should be able to see the marker coming through your paint, hopefully, okay? So it should look something like this, and it should be dry. If you're not dry yet, you might want to go grab a blow dryer and kind of go over it with a blow dryer, okay? Before we do this next part. Just take your fingers and very lightly tap on it. Make sure nothing comes off. Something came off, it's still not ready, okay? And thank you guys for coming back. Looks like I have a sunburn on my face. It's one of the filters. I gave up putting makeup on. Honestly, I'm not putting makeup on to not leave the house. Because I discovered that there's filters on this thing. So this one looks like I just came from the beach. The other one was like a Barbie filter or something. It's very minute, but hey, whatever I have to do to not have to put makeup on. Alright, so what was I going to say? Yep, so just make sure it's dry. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do her skin tone. So you have to decide if it's going to be peachy or if it's going to be a different color. If you're going to do the peachy skin tone, this is what we're going to do. Now we need our small brush. Small brush. Dry it gently on your paper towel. Always dry your brushes, okay? You guys are back. Yay! So if you want to do a peach skin tone, a little bit of orange paint, little orange, mix it with some white until you get the color peach. If you added too much orange, it's okay. Just add some more white to tone it down. I'm going to mix it up and then I'm going to show you what color you want to get, okay? So if you want to do the peachy color, you want to do something like this. You could make it a little bit more orange if you want. You can add brown if you want to do a tan skin tone. Whatever you want. So we're going to start painting her face. Again, your background needs to be dry for this, or else she's going to end up with a very funny colored face, okay? So what you're going to do, you're going to just paint over her face, like literally over the whole face, okay? You're going to paint over her eye, you're going to paint over her nose and over her lips. You might not be able to see it anymore, so what I want you to do is I want you to take a good look at it. Remember what it looked like before in case you can't see it anymore. Because now we're going to have 2 coats of paint. Okay? So take a good look at how you drew your face. Remember what it looks like. Because we're going to paint over it. And I don't know if we're going to be able to see through the second coat of paint. Okay? So very carefully, we're painting her face. I like to trace things first. Just because to me, it looks neater. So I'm tracing the part that's her skin. And you want a very, very thin coat. Just a little bit of paint. And the blue is going to show through a little bit. That's okay, because that's what this is the kind of painting that this is. You actually want the background to peek through a little bit. It looks really pretty that way. You don't want this to be solid. So if there's a little bit of blue showing through, that's perfectly fine. So whatever color you decide to use for her skin, this is what you're going to do. Then you also have to paint her neck and her arms as well with that same color. So when you're done for the face like this, you're going to start painting her neck and her arms. So I'm tracing around the top of her dress. I'm very carefully going to start painting her arms. All right, that's a terrible looking arm. But again, forgive me because I am painting upside down. So yeah, it's not going to be perfect. So when you're done painting her neck and the other arm, paint this arm now. And spread out that paint. You want a nice thin coat, and it's perfectly okay that the blue is showing through. It's supposed to for this type of painting. Just painting the other arm and kind of where her hand would be. Trying to make her arms the same width. We don't want one skinny arm and one bigger arm. Try to make her arms the same if possible. It's not easy though. Definitely is not easy trying to make them look the same. Actually going to adjust her face a little bit. Okay. So it's going to look funny for a little while. It's going to look something like that. I think I need to make these fingers bigger or something. I don't know. I don't like how that looks at all. Not liking that arm at all. But that's okay. So we're painting her face, her neck, I guess you would say her chest as well, and her arms. As you can see, you can't really see her eye, her nose, or her mouth anymore. It got covered up. But because we've already done it once, it's in our head. So later, when we need to do it again, we've already done it. We know what it looks like, okay? And you've already got to practice it. So the second time around, it'll look even better. Does that make any sense? I hope so. Okay. So we're going to let that dry. When you're done painting the face and the arms, we're going to rinse our small brush. We're all done with that big brush. So you can leave the big brush in the water or you could take it away. We're done with that big brush. We're only using the small brush from now on. So when you're done with the skin, rinse and dry your brush completely. Rinse and dry. We're going to go back to some white. So you need some clean white on your plate. Some clean white paint. This up now for the dress. There we go. Tilt this forward. There we go. Perfect. Now we can see the whole thing. So when you're done with the skin, we're going to go into some clean white paint. Make sure your brush is clean and dry. And we're going to start painting the top of her dress. So white paint and start painting the top of her dress. I'm going to outline first because I like to outline. That's what I do. So I outlined it. So remember, this is white. I know it's hard to see, but it is white. We are using pure white now for her clothes. And then I'm just going to color it in. Now, if you want her dress, this part of her dress to be solid white and not have any of that blue showing through, what you have to do is learn something called patience. That's something that we all need to work on. What you need to do is do one coat of paint, just like I did, let it dry completely, then add another second coat of white. If you keep piling paint on top of paint, it does not cover anything. You probably figured that out by now, right? So you're going to do one coat of white, leave it alone, go back later if you want it to be more of a solid white. When it's completely dry, that's when you add more paint, okay? But you can't just keep piling on paint while it's still wet. It will do absolutely nothing. What it will do is actually start pulling the paint off your canvas if you're doing it and it's not dry yet, okay? So paint that white, leave it alone, decide later if you want to make it more white, okay? So now we're going to start working on her skirt. So she's got a nice big skirt. So what we're going to do is the top area first. So we want it to kind of flare out like this. Let's see. Again, I'm doing this backwards, so mine isn't going to be even, but... So we're going to start off by doing that. We're not going to draw the skirt. We're not drawing it. We're just going to do individual strokes with white paint and then add some color to the bottom, okay? So after you do this top part, what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to add another one that's kind of a little bit higher. And you want to keep curving it down like this. Okay? So you're just going to keep doing this until it's all full, okay? So to make it easier for you, let's do some in the middle. So after you do the outside ones, let's do some that are going straight down, okay? So we got a few of them that are kind of going straight down like this. So do the outside ones like that, and then do some that go straight down, okay? And you want to leave on the bottom, you don't want it to be solid. You want it on the bottom of her skirt, you want a little bit of the blue and purple showing through, like that, okay? And then I'm going to keep doing this, and as I get closer to the outside, these lines are going to start to curve. So they're straight going down the middle, but as I come up, they're going to curve. So this next line is going to start curving a little bit, okay? So you want to follow the shape of the skirt. So as I get closer to the top, my lines are going to start curving. Okay? So you're going to keep filling this in. This is going to take a little while. Keep filling that in, but you don't want to fill it in completely. You want some of that background to show through, okay? Do not fill it in completely. You see how at the bottom it's not solid? And we are going to add some more colors to this anyway. It's not just going to be white. Okay, as I get closer to the top, I'm going to start curving these lines. You want to go in the direction of the skirt. So I'm going to make these lines curvy now as I get closer to the sides here, the top. Okay. How pretty that is. I love it. I'm going to add maybe a little bit more here. But again, just don't make it completely solid. You need some of that color in our background showing through the bottom, okay? Oh, I really like this. I'm really liking how this came out. Very pretty. Aw, so cute. Hope you guys like this. I cannot wait to see this. This is something different. I've never done this one before. All right. So I'll give you guys a couple more minutes to catch up on the skirt because we're going to do something to it, okay? So cute. Now, you guys are going to decide if you prefer purple or blue to add to her dress, okay? Oh, good. I'm glad she likes it. So decide what color you like better, the purple or the blue. So pick a color. Yeah, feed the dogs, please. So while you're finishing, decide purple or blue. Which one do I like better? Just start thinking about it. I like to give people choices. I do post a picture. The picture gives you an idea of what it could look like. But with art, you don't want to copy something exactly. You can if you want, but if you have choices, why not make it your own and add your own details and colors and stuff, right? So what we're going to do next is we're going to, with a white still on our brush, remember how with a big brush we did two corners on, two colors on the different corners? We're going to do something similar with our small brush. It is tiny, but you can still do it, okay? So let me put this down really quick. So what you're going to do, using a lot of white and a dot of blue, like a teeny bit of blue. So a lot of white, and a teeny bit of blue. And you're going to maybe hate this at first, but don't worry, it's not going to stay that way, okay? So towards the bottom, okay? So from the bottom up, you're just going to make a little bit of the blue and white. You want a lot of blue and just a lot of white and just a tiny bit of blue. Start at the bottom and only stay on the bottom. Don't go higher than halfway up her skirt, okay? You're just going to do this. Starting from the bottom up. If you look closely, it added like little light blue streaks. I don't know if you can see them. So again, a lot of white on my brush, a lot of white, and then a little dot of blue. Just a little bit like that, okay? And then I'm starting on the bottom, go from the bottom of the skirt up, and don't go past the middle, okay? So I'm just adding some light blue streaks on the bottom of her skirt. I will hold it up. You can see them a little bit better now. You see that? You see the light blue? So when you put a lot of blue, a lot of white and a little bit of blue, it mixes together to make a light blue. And you want to just keep it along the bottom of the skirt. Okay, so do that a few times. I'm going to get more white, a lot of white, a little tiny dot of blue. And I'm just going to go from the bottom up and add some light blue streaks to the bottom of the skirt. It's very subtle. You shouldn't have stripes. You should hardly be able to see it. Very, very subtle. Okay? See, it's very subtle, nothing crazy. Now what you're going to do is you're going to, do the same thing with purple. Okay, so if you need to rinse your brush, you can rinse your brush. Rinse and dry. We're going to do the same thing using purple, okay? So rinse and dry your brush if you need to. And we're going to do a lot of white and a little bit of purple and do the same thing we just did, okay? So a lot of white, little bit of purple. You might have to add a little bit more purple than you did blue in order to see it because the purple's a lot lighter. So blue, I'm so sorry. It's a lot of colors. A lot of white, little purple, bottom up, okay? And don't do the full skirt. Just keep it towards the bottom, no further than the middle, okay? So now I'm just adding some light purple into the bottom of the skirt, okay? So again, I don't know if you could see it. You see some purple streaks in there? Just a little bit. I'm going to go back and add some more. So a lot of white, a little bit of purple from the bottom up. I'm adding some purple streaks in her skirt. Again, very light. You can do more purple than blue. You decide what color you want more of, okay? So I did extra purple. Since our background is mostly blue, I did some extra purple on the bottom, just like that. okay? We're keeping the top white. For now, we're keeping the top white. We just want that color along the bottom, no higher than the middle. Okay. Now in the picture, I think they outlined her dress in blue. I'm going to give you a choice. You can either outline her dress in blue or purple. You choose, okay? I'm going to pick purple just because I think there's enough blue going on in my background. So I'm just going to take just straight purple the way it is. Just purple by itself. You can do blue if you want, okay? Either purple or blue, you choose. And I'm going to start outlining the top of her dress, okay? That little curvy M shape. So either purple or blue, and again, mine is not perfect here. It's a little lopsided. One's higher than the other. So either purple or blue for this part. Boys, keep your voices down, please. And then I'm going to outline the sides. Okay. Kenny, did I not ask you to keep your voice down, please? I'm filming. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. So purple on the top or blue. And then you want this to go into the skirt a little bit, okay? So I'm going to go down into the skirt just a little. It might still be wet. So I'm going to extend these lines into the skirt just a little bit. You see how I didn't stop at the top of my skirt? You want it to look like the skirt is also behind her. So you want to extend the lines from the side of her top down into the skirt just a little bit. You see that? How I went into the skirt just a little. Okay, not too much. Then you're going to stop. Okay. And then you're going to take that color. If it's purple, you're going to do purple and white. Okay. If you chose blue to trace her top, you're going to do blue and white. Just like we did on the bottom, but we're going to do it underneath, okay? So I'm doing purple, so I'm going to do purple and white. If you're doing blue for this top part, you need to do blue and white, just like we did for the bottom, okay? So a lot of white and a little bit of purple, okay? And we're going to add some like lines where the bottom of her top is, okay? So the bottom of her top is like right about here. So again, a lot of white and a little bit of purple, or a lot of white and a little bit of blue. And you're just going to add some streaks like that. Okay, see what I did? Oh, I lost you guys for a second. Oh my goodness, I don't know what that was about. The weather's nice today. Anyway, so whatever color you chose, do a lot of white and purple or a lot of white and blue, or you can do both. I think I'm actually going to do both. That way it matches the bottom. So I did a lot of white and a little bit of purple. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my blue and add a little bit of the blue in there too to break it up. So I kind of started underneath. You see where I did that? I think I'm going to add the light blue in there. I like how that looks. So I'm going to rinse and dry. So rinse and dry. I'm going to add the blue. So a lot of white, little bit of blue. Do the same effect that we did on the bottom because I think that'll look nice. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to add some of that light blue in there as well. If you accidentally add too much, guess what? If you added too much color, you're going to leave it alone. When it's dry, you just put more white streaks over it. That's all. If you added too much color to your skirt and you want it to be more white, let the whole thing dry. and then just put white paint over it. Ta-da! Easy fix. Okay, so now I have the purple and the blue underneath, like that. You can do this however you want. And now what you're gonna do is we're gonna use, actually, you know what, let's let this dry. Let's let this dry. Let's go do the hair. Let's decide what color we're doing her hair, okay? I guess I'll make her blonde since I'm blonde now. And it looks like the painting. You decide what color you want her hair to be. And just paint her hair. Nice and easy. So I'm gonna give her blonde hair since I'm blonde now as well. I'm gonna start with a bun. I like working from the top down. Because we're putting yellow on top of blue, it is going to look kind of green, just warning you. So you might have to do 2 coats. So that's what happens. Still pretty though, but it will have like a green tint to it. So if that happens, then you might want to just do 2 coats of yellow once this first one is dry. So just paint the hair. Okay, so I just did 1 coat for now, and it's a little streaky, but I don't dislike it though. So again, you could either just do the 1 coat if you like how it looks, leave it alone, or later when it's dry, add another coat of paint. But remember, you always have to wait till it's completely dry before you add a second coat of any color. It doesn't matter what color it is. The rules apply the same way no matter what color. Okay? So now, while we're letting the hair dry, let's add some more details to our dress, okay? So you can do, again, either blue or purple. I'm giving you guys choices. So to outline the bottom of her, remember like when we drew it, there was like a line, a curvy line connecting the top of her dress, like right here? Well, we got rid of that. It got covered, right? We're not going to draw it back as a straight line. We're going to do it with little dots, okay? So decide if you want that to be blue or purple. So pick a color, okay? I'm just going to stick with the purple. So what I'm doing is I'm not using my bristles for this part. I'm not using the bristles. They're clean and dry, but I'm not using them. I'm dipping the bottom of my brush into the purple paint. So not the bristles, the bottom. Dipping that into some purple. And I'm very carefully going to put little dots in the shape of a curve. So don't go straight across. You still want them to be kind of curvy. So I'm adding little purple dots, and you'll see better once I'm done. In like a curvy shape, like that. Okay, you see what I did? So tiny little dots using the back of the brush for the bottom of her top, like that, okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing, that little M shape that's underneath, I'm going to take that color, or the blue, whatever color you want, and I'm going to make little dots underneath that as well. So the harder you press down, the bigger the dots. The lighter you press down, the smaller the dots. So if you want little dots, don't press hard. If you want big dots, you press hard. So now I'm just going to put little dots underneath this part as well. So windy outside. Okay, so I just put little dots right underneath that part of her dress. And you don't have to do any of this if you don't want to. What I think I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put white over that purple outline. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing later. But there's choices. I know kids like color. Kids love colors. So why not give them the choice to do colors, right? And ballerina outfits aren't just white. They come in different colors, right? So now I'm just cleaning the back of my brush. Clean that paint off the back, okay? You want it to be nice and clean because we're going to go and we're going to do some white dots in a minute, okay? We are going to, let's see if we can add that magic wand in there. If you want to add like a magic wand. So clean, dry bristles. We're going to go back to our bristles, this part. Clean and dry. Some white paint. The hand, that's all like crooked looking. You're going to add a little line for a wand. So add a little line right there. That's as thin as I can make it with this brush. So put a little white line in that hand so it looks like she's holding a wand. Okay, and then what you're going to do, at the tip of the wand, you're going to make a little dot. Make a little dot at the tip of your wand. And then without adding any more paint, you're just going to like kind of make it look like a star. Like that. So make a little dot and then without adding more paint, just kind of spread it out so it kind of looks like a little star, like that. Very good. Now we're done with our bristles again. So you can either leave that there or clean and dry. I'm just going to clean and dry so I don't accidentally touch something. We are going to go back to the bottom of our brush. That's why we want to make sure it's clean. So white paint. I'm going to give myself some fresh white paint. If you notice, the longer acrylic paint sits on your plate, the thicker it gets and it's harder to work with. So I'm going to put some fresh white paint on my plate because I like to work with fresh paint. It's a lot easier. So clean white paint. And I'm going to start adding, let's see, some little stars coming out of the wand. So it's going to kind of go, let me see. It's going away. So it's going to go this way. So we're going to start doing some little dots. It's like, we're going to pretend it's the magic that's coming from the wand. So you're going to make all different size white dots going this way. And again, you can make this look however you want. And then I'm going to start making it go towards the middle of her head. So a little trail, we're doing a little trail of white dots. So I'm going to make it go kind of somewhere like that. And then it's going to come out like the other side. And magic doesn't stay in a straight line. So that's the easy part about this. It does not stay in a straight line. So your dots do not need to be lined up perfectly. So I'm just making a little trail coming from the wand towards like the middle of her hair and then coming out the other side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making those dots go upward. I'm going to start making those dots go up to the top. And pretty much almost the whole top of my canvas is going to be covered with little white dots. So you see how I'm making it turn and go to the top? I'm just going to keep dipping the back of my brush. You want all different sizes. You don't want your dots to be the same. You see how I have big dots, little dots? So just kind of go quickly. See how quick I'm doing it? Don't think about it too much. And you want to fill up this top section here with a whole bunch of white dots. All different sizes. You don't want it to touch here though. Leave some space. You want to leave some space between the wand and the ones on the top. So the more dots you have, the better it looks. Lots and lots of dots. Okay? So something like that. How's that? Isn't that cool? I like that. I'm actually going to make mine go a little bit more this way. There we go. That's pretty. I like that. Now there are some twinkles in the sky. The only problem with doing twinkles is you need a very, very tiny little brush to do twinkles properly. If we attempt to do a twinkle with this size brush, it's not going to look good. It's going to look like a snowflake. So I honestly am not going to do the twinkles that are in that picture because we don't have the right size brush for it, and it's going to look like snowflakes. I don't want them to look like snowflakes. So I honestly rather just leave the white dots unless you have a teeny tiny fine point brush at home to do those twinkles. I would not attempt them because you will have snowflakes. It's going to look like the thing that's on her wand, and it's not going to look good. It'll ruin your painting, okay? So just stick with the dots if you don't have a teeny tiny brush. All right? So that's the magic. And then we're going to add some white dots on the bottom of her tutu. So we're going to continue to dip into some white paint. Continuing to dip into the white paint. And I'm just going to add little rows, some very random rows, and I'll hold it closer, of white dots to the bottom only. So just the bottom or the edges. You see how I did like 3 here, 3 there. So some random white dots on the bottom of her tutu. Just try to keep them towards the bottom or the edges. Okay. See that? And you don't want to do too many. You don't want to do a gazillion like you did in the sky. Just a few on her dress. So it kind of looks, it makes it look kind of sparkly when you do that, huh? I like it. Stop it. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I've decided that I want to change something, and you can do that. That's the good thing about it. So I'm going to change the top part of her dress. So what I'm going to do is I think it's too purple. So I'm just going to take my clean bristles and some clean white paint, and I'm just going to go over that purple with some white to tone it down a little bit. So I'm basically just going to retrace over the purple. If you like your purple or your blue dark like that, you can leave it. But I don't want it so dark. So I'm just going to trace over my purple. I'm going to leave a little bit of the purple showing through. I'm not going to trace over it completely. But I am going to cover most of it. There you go. I like that better. So I just put a little bit of white paint over my purple to make it more subtle. Okay. And then what I'm also going to do, if your purple or blue dots, you know, little dots that we made on our clothes, they might either be purple or blue. If they're dry, what you're going to do, you're going to flip your brush over again. Make sure these dots are dry though, okay? Flipping over again. Lots more white dots. I'm going to put some white dots in between the purple or blue dots, okay? I'm going to add some white in between. I know it's hard to see. So I'm going to be adding some white in between the purple or blue, whatever color you used. And don't press down too hard because then you'll cover all of the other one. So I'm just adding some white dots in between either purple or blue, whatever color you chose. And again, you don't have to do this part. If you like how it looks, then leave it alone. I'm just showing you different things that you can do, okay? So again, for this bottom part, if you like how it looks, you don't have to do this next part. I'm going to just add little white dots in between. Okay, I'm not covering them. I'm just putting some in between, so just a little bit of the purple or a little bit of the blue is showing. So it like shows through. So you could still see the purple, but you just see it a little bit. It's more subtle. Okay? See how it blends in when you do that? It looks more subtle. Okay? Now I think I definitely need to do a second coat for my hair because my hair looks kind of green right now. So I'm going to go back to my bristles. Aw, you love me. You're so cute. Thank you. You're so sweet. You love me or you love my painting or both? Which one is it? I'll take either one. So again, I'm going to add a second coat because my hair looks kind of greenish because we had to do it over blue. So I'm going to add a little bit more yellow in my hair. Make sure your hair's dry before you do this. So I'm going to add, it's still going to look kind of greenish, but it'll look a little bit better. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. See how that already looks better? But again, we needed to let it dry first. So I'm adding a little bit more yellow to the hair. Okay, much better. I'm much happier with the hair now. And I do want to add that little, she has like something in her hair. I do want to add that, but we're going to let this dry for a little bit. So we need to give her lips back. We're not going to draw her eyes or nose with paint. Please don't do that. Do not do her face with paint except for her lips. The only thing you're doing with paint on her face is her lips. Please repeat that. The only thing we're doing on her face with paint is her lips. You're going to do her nose and her eye with marker once this is dry. And again, you need to make sure it's dry before you use markers. Remember that, okay? So you're going to pick a color. I'm going to do pink. So pick a color for her lips. I'm going to give her pink lips. I know we cannot see the lips anymore, but we kind of remember where they were and what they look like. So we're going to take a teeny tiny bit. We don't want to make our ballerina look like a clown, right? She's a dancer, ballerina, not a clown. So we're going to take the smallest amount possible of paint on our brush. And we're going to put her lips where her lips should be. I have to turn mine around and then I'll show you because it's kind of hard to do lips upside down. So I'm going to do mine and then I'll flip it over. Okay, so this is what I did. I did a little oval shape. So with a paint, I just did a little oval. It's very hard to do that little M shape with paint. So what I just did is I did a little oval shape, and then later, if I want, I can draw the same shape that I had before with marker around the pink or whatever color you used. So for now, just make a little oval shape for her lips, and then you can reshape that later with marker if you want, okay? So make her mouth like that. Very good. So now there's really not much else we can do except maybe the stuff in her hair. Because we need to do her eye and her nose with markers. Remember, we're not doing that with paint. Unless you have the teeniest, tiniest brush, and I wouldn't risk that. I'm even going to do mine with marker later. The only other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do that little thing in her hair. Even though my hair's still wet, I want to show you guys before I leave, though. I'm going to do that little thing in her hair with blue. So I'm going to dip, again, the back of my brush into some blue paint. And right where her bun is, let me see what side it's on. I don't want to do it on the wrong side. Hold on. Where is your little thing? All right, so it's on the opposite side of the bangs. So if her bangs are on this side, you want to do this thing on the opposite side of her bangs. So it looks like, kind of like holly berries, like a mistletoe. You know how it's got the 3 little berries on the mistletoe, except they're blue. So back of the brush, a little bit of blue. And I'm going to put a little dot there. And then another one on the side of it. So 2 little dots side by side. And then another one on top in the middle. Okay, I'm going to make that one a little bit bigger. Okay, so if you look closely, I made 3 little dots. Just like that. So it looks like she's got like some pretty barrette or comb or something in her hair. And we did that with the back of the brush like we did all the other dots. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to let this dry. And then when it's dry, you can, you don't really have to trace this one. The only thing you might need to just add is her eye and her nose with a marker. You don't need to trace her body. I think her body and her dress look fine. I'm not going to trace anything with marker. The only thing I'm going to do for this one is pretty much go back and do her eye and maybe her nose. You can trace if you want. It's up to you. It's your painting. But I think it looks good. Just like that, and then just going back to add her eye and her nose with the markers. Okay? And then maybe trace her lips a little bit if you want to give them some shape. But her lips don't look bad like that either. Yeah, so I'm going to let this dry. I got to start dinner. I'm going to make some chicken parmesan for dinner tonight. So while I'm starting dinner, I'm going to let this dry for a bit, and then I'm going to go finish it up. I'm going to take a picture of it, and I will see you tomorrow. I already forgot what